car, and I go down the Santa Monica Freeway, the Harbor Freeway, the Santa Monica Freeway, the Hollywood Freeway, into the Santa Monica, into the Harbor Freeway to make it south to Watts. But meanwhile, I got off on Vernon Avenue there to call to see if he was home. That was a Sunday. And I called and called, he was not there. All of a sudden it got real dark, cloudy, and it rained like cats and dogs, and I get from the boys' supermarket, get in the car, and I said, something is happening. You know, I started feeling something. I don't know what, but something was coming over me, said something is going to happen, something has happened today. So I get in the car, and I started here, I'm going to go to the mountain, get out of the city, because something is about to jump off. So I didn't make it as far. I got off on 41st and Figueroa. I got out the car, and someone said, this stage walk is bigger than society. It's bigger than people. And I heard it start raining police cars. And for some reason, I don't know why, I felt very paranoid. Things started kicking in my mind. All of a sudden, I had thought of nothing else about what Mr. Farrakhan said. Things that totally just negated out of my mind. There was something in my memory that stayed in the forefront when he said it. Until that day, when I got in the car, something clicked in my mind and said, you have a God son in the east, you have a God son in the west. And also, mind you, the minister also said there was great killings going on in the city at that time. Mysterious killings. Yes, at that time it was the LA flashing. Someone was going around killing, they eventually found who it was, killing women in the Hollywood area. They eventually found who he was, and he was apprehended, of course, which is good. But this was also stated that these things would take place at that time. So I started thinking, I said, oh, that's going on, people are paranoid. So I went between two houses, and I got down on my knees, and on 41st there at Figueroa, and I got down on my knees, and I prostrated to God and said, oh, God, please. I don't know what's happening, but I know God is the greatest. I'm all walking on God is the greatest. I went on my knees at that time, forehead to the dirt, and I still, even before that time, I told you, I was still kind of ambiguous about God, please come and help us. I was begging and praying every day. So when I stood up, I felt a little strong. And I said, well, I got to get to the mosque. So the minister said also that day that this man must get to the mosque or to the temple at that time at a certain time. And that time he stated would be 6 o'clock. Now, mind you, this was taking place started at 2, 3, 4 o'clock before I got to that point. And I walked around the LA Coliseum, which was right there off of, back then, the Santa Monica Boulevard, which is now Martin Luther King Boulevard. So I walked around the Coliseum, and I walked around the sports arena, and I said, what's going on, what's going on? So I couldn't find any solitude, but it was getting towards 6, and it wasn't like I meant to get there at that time either. So I called my friend, who, out of all the people, my brothers and sisters at that time, the only one that I had confidence in was a good friend of mine. Ironically, he was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His name was Selwyn Benjamin, who lived out, I think, 127 off of Normandy, 127th Street. He was my best friend. I was teaching his son, Selwyn Jr., J.R., used to come to the center at Fundy and Watts, and I was teaching him, but his father and I got really close. So, ironically, his number, this only phone number that he had was 777-5238. I called him, and I said, I need you to come pick me up. I don't know what's going on, but something has happened. Well, he made it down, but in the meanwhile, I was so paranoid, asking people, I need to get to the mosque. I had about $70. I was offering people $20, $50 to take me from Santa Barbara, Figueroa, down to Central, and where the mosque was in Santa Barbara. And people were so paranoid, I don't know you, no. And people were so paranoid at that time, I just forced the issue. I jumped on the bus, and I gave the man a $20 bill to take me to take the taxi. They took me down to the Hilton there from 7th Street. And I got in the taxi, and as I got in the taxi, there was a black man, of course, driving. And he said, where do you want to go? I said, oh, man, let's take me to the Muhammad Temple on Central. And when he did, the sun broke, the cloud broke, and I felt a little relaxed. And he said, man, we're being by the sugar. I said, yes, sir, they sure are. And he comfortably took me to the temple, And when I got there, it was 6 o'clock on the dot. And I was like, whoa. And I asked my brothers to let me see the minister who was Mr. Hassan at that time. They said, no, brother, you can't tell he's going to Chicago. The messenger is gravely ill. So I went to the Shabbat Steak and Tent next door there, and I sat there. And a brother came over to me and said, brother, what's going on? I said, I don't know, brother. He said, well, we're going to close up, brother. We need to get a ride. Nobody would take me. So I said, okay, brother. Then he called my friend. So I called Papa back, but I didn't want to inconvenience him because he had to go to work that night. He worked for Goodyear. And I said, I called him back because he was the only one I felt for some reason confident with. So I called him back, and his phone number was 777-5232. And I called him. And he said, brother, he said, I came down there, but you weren't there. What happened? I came to Shreveport, but you weren't there. I said, he said, brother, I got to go to work. I said, Papa, please, I need you to come to drop me off somewhere. So he said, okay, brother. And he got in his car, and he came back to, and he lived, mind you, far south of L.A., and he came back to the central part of L.A., on Central and Santa Barbara, which is Martin Luther King now. And he picked me up, and he came and drove up right there to stick the tape in his car. He said, brother, what's going on? I said, brother, I know something has happened, please. He said, well, where do you need to go? I said, I don't know, let's just drive. So we got on the Santa Monica Freeway, the Harbor to the Santa Monica Freeway, and he said, where do you want to go? I said, well, take me to my godson's house. And my godson's name, I said, was Lebron. And when he took me to his house, it started raining like cats and dogs. And one of the songs that was sung to was Minnie Rivers' song, came on, one of her high pitched songs, and very significant